Michael was a carpenter. He built houses, fixed fences, and made beautiful wooden toys. He lived in a small, cozy house on the edge of town. His house had a big porch, perfect for sitting and watching the sunset. Michael was a kind man, always ready to lend a hand to his neighbors. He helped Mrs. Gable carry her groceries and fixed Mr. Henderson's leaky roof. Everyone in town liked Michael. But even with all his friends and good deeds, Michael sometimes felt lonely. He lived by himself, and the house could feel awfully quiet at night. He wished he had someone to share his life with, someone to laugh with and tell stories to. He often thought about getting a dog, but he worked long hours and didn't think it was fair to leave a dog alone all day. He yearned for a family, but he didn't know how to find one. He kept hoping that someday, his life would be filled with more than just the sound of his hammer and saw. He just didn't know that his life was about to change in a big, unexpected way. One evening, as the sun began to set, Michael finished up a long day of building a new porch for the mayor's house. Dark clouds were gathering overhead, and the air felt thick and heavy with the promise of a storm. He packed up his tools, hopped into his old blue pickup truck, and started the drive home. He usually took the main road, but tonight he decided to take a shortcut. It was a bumpy, rarely used dirt road that wound through the woods. He knew it would save him some time, even though it was a little rough on his truck. The wind started to pick up, rustling the leaves on the trees, and the first fat raindrops began to fall. As he drove deeper into the woods, the sky grew darker and the rain came down harder. The road became slick and muddy. Michael gripped the steering wheel tightly, his eyes scanning the road ahead. He hoped he would make it home before the storm really hit. He hummed a little tune to himself, trying to ignore the growing rumble of thunder. Suddenly, through the blurry windshield, Michael spotted something. A car, pulled off to the side of the road, its headlights dim and flickering. He slowed down, peering through the rain. It looked like the car was broken down. He pulled over his truck a little ways ahead and put on his hazard lights. He grabbed his flashlight and hopped out, pulling his jacket tighter around him. The rain was coming down in sheets now, and the wind howled through the trees. As he approached the car, he could see movement inside. He shined the flashlight into the window. 3 pairs of eyes stared back at him, wide and frightened. They belonged to 3 young girls, huddled together in the back seat. The oldest looked to be about 10, the middle one around 8, and the youngest no more than 6. They were all shivering and looked very scared. Michael felt a pang of sympathy in his heart. "Are you okay?" he called out, his voice barely audible above the storm. "Do you need help?" The oldest girl, Rose, rolled down the window a crack. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Our car. It won't start. And our parents aren't here." Michael's heart sank. "Where are your parents?" he asked gently. Rose's eyes filled with tears. They're gone," she whispered. "They went away a long time ago." Michael didn't press for details. He could see the fear and sadness in their eyes. "Well, you can't stay here in this storm," he said, his voice full of concern. "It's too dangerous. Why don't you come with me? I have a warm house not too far from here. You can stay there for the night." The girls looked at each other, unsure. Lily, the youngest, started to cry softly. Daisy, the middle child, clung to Rose's arm. Rose looked at Michael, her expression a mixture of fear and hope. "Are you sure?" she asked. "We don't want to be any trouble." "No trouble at all," Michael said with a reassuring smile. "Come on, let's get you out of this rain." He opened the back door of his truck. "Hop in, girls. My name is Michael, by the way." The truck ride was short but bumpy. The girls huddled together in the back, still shivering, but a little less scared now. Michael glanced at them in the rearview mirror, his heart aching for them. He couldn't imagine being alone and afraid like that. When they arrived at his house, Michael quickly ushered them inside. The warmth of the house was a welcome change from the cold rain. He led them to the living room, where a fire was crackling in the fireplace. "Make yourselves comfortable," he said. "I'll go get you some dry clothes and something warm to drink." He found some old sweatshirts and sweatpants that he hadn't worn in years. They were a little big, but they would be better than their wet clothes. He also made them hot chocolate with marshmallows. At first, the sisters were very quiet and shy. They sat close together on the couch, watching Michael with cautious eyes. But as they sipped their hot chocolate and warmed up by the fire, they slowly began to relax. Michael told them stories about his woodworking projects and his silly dog, Buster, who had passed away a few years ago. He tried to make them laugh, and soon, small smiles appeared on their faces. After a while, Rose started telling Michael about her sisters. Daisy loved to draw, and Lily was a little chatterbox who loved to sing. Lily even started humming a little tune, her eyes sparkling. They shared stories about their favorite games and the books they liked to read. Michael listened patiently, his heart swelling with warmth. He hadn't heard children's laughter in his house in years. Daisy showed Michael a drawing she had made on a napkin, a picture of a smiling sun. He praised her artwork, and her face lit up with pride. Lily climbed onto his lap and started telling him a story about a magical unicorn. He listened intently, making silly faces and asking questions. Lily giggled, and Michael felt a joy he hadn't experienced in a long time. He realized that he was enjoying their company immensely. The house felt alive and full of energy. The loneliness he had felt for so long seemed to melt away. He started to imagine what it would be like to have them around all the time. It was a crazy thought, but the idea filled him with a sense of hope and excitement. The next morning, the storm had passed, and the sun was shining brightly. Michael made pancakes for breakfast, and the sisters devoured them with gusto. He knew he couldn't just let them go back to their broken-down car. He had to do something. After breakfast, he sat down with Rose. "Rose," he said gently, "I need to call someone. I need to let them know that you and your sisters are safe." Rose's eyes widened with fear. "Who are you going to call?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I need to call social services," Michael explained. "They can help you find a safe place to live." Rose's face fell. But we don't want to go to different homes," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "We want to stay together." Daisy and Lily nodded in agreement, their faces mirroring Rose's fear. Michael's heart sank. He hadn't even considered that they might be separated. He knew how important it was for siblings to stay together. He looked at their pleading faces and made a decision. "Okay," he said. "I promise I won't let them separate you." He didn't know how he was going to do it, but he knew he had to try. Michael made the call to social services, explaining the situation. A social worker said they would come to his house to assess the situation and determine the best course of action for the girls. While he waited, Michael tried to reassure the sisters. He told them that everything would be okay, but he could see the worry in their eyes. He started thinking about what it would take to become their guardian. He knew it wouldn't be easy. He was just a simple carpenter, living alone in a small house. He didn't have a lot of money, and he had never raised children before. But he also knew that he couldn't bear the thought of them being separated and potentially ending up in a foster home where they wouldn't be loved or cared for properly. He paced back and forth, his mind racing. Could he really do this? Could he provide them with the love, support, and stability they needed? He looked at the sisters, who were now playing quietly in the living room, and his heart filled with determination. He had to try. He owed it to them. And maybe, just maybe, they were the family he had been longing for all along. Later that afternoon, Sarah, Michael's best friend, came over. Sarah was a teacher at the local elementary school and had known Michael for years. He trusted her implicitly and knew she would give him honest advice. He told her everything, about finding the sisters, their situation, and his desire to become their guardian. Sarah listened patiently, her expression thoughtful. When he was finished, she smiled warmly. "Michael," she said, "this is a big decision, but I think you're the perfect person to do this. You're kind, patient, and you have a big heart. Those girls need someone like you." Michael sighed. "But Sarah, I don't know anything about raising kids. I don't even know how to braid hair." Sarah laughed. "You'll learn," she said. "And I'll help you. We all will. The whole town will rally around you. You won't be alone." She offered practical advice, suggesting parenting books and local resources. She even volunteered to help with homework and school events. Michael felt a wave of relief wash over him. He wasn't alone. He had Sarah, and he had the support of the community. Maybe, just maybe, he could do this after all. The next few days were a whirlwind. Michael started the process of applying for guardianship. There were forms to fill out, background checks to undergo, and a home study to prepare for. The social worker, Ms. Evans, was very helpful, explaining each step of the process and answering all of Michael's questions. He spent hours cleaning and fixing up his house, making sure it was a safe and comfortable place for the girls. He painted the spare bedroom a cheerful yellow and bought 3 new beds. He even started learning how to braid hair by watching videos online, much to Sarah's amusement. The sisters were both excited and nervous. They helped Michael with the cleaning and decorating, their small hands eager to contribute. But they also worried about whether Michael would be approved as their guardian. They clung to him, seeking reassurance. He did his best to comfort them, telling them that he would do everything he could to keep them together. He started reading them bedtime stories, a new routine that they all cherished. Evenings were filled with laughter and snuggles, making the house feel more like a home than ever before. Ms. Evans visited Michael's house for the home study. She asked him questions about his lifestyle, his finances, and his parenting philosophy. She also talked to the sisters, asking them about their feelings and their relationship with Michael. Michael was nervous, but he answered all of her questions honestly and openly. He showed her the newly decorated bedroom and explained his plans for providing the girls with a stable and loving home. He talked about the importance of education, good nutrition, and lots of playtime. The sisters were also a little nervous, but they spoke highly of Michael. They told Ms. Evans how kind and caring he was, and how much they enjoyed living with him. They said that he made them feel safe and loved. After the home study, Michael felt a sense of relief, but also a lingering anxiety. He knew that the decision was out of his hands now. All he could do was wait and hope that the social services would see that he was the best person to care for Rose, Daisy, and Lily. He continued to read them bedtime stories and make them pancakes on Saturday mornings, cherishing every moment they spent together. The house felt full of love, and he couldn't imagine his life without them. As the days turned into weeks, the waiting became increasingly difficult. The sisters' anxiety grew, and they constantly sought reassurance from Michael. Rose would often ask, "Do you think they'll let us stay with you, Michael?" Her voice was filled with worry. Daisy, usually so cheerful, became quiet and withdrawn. She stopped drawing as much, and her bright smile faded. Lily, the youngest, started having nightmares. She would wake up in the middle of the night, crying and calling for Michael. Michael did his best to comfort them. He would hold them close, telling them stories about brave knights and magical fairies. He reminded them of all the fun they had together, the pancake breakfasts, the bedtime stories, the silly games they played in the backyard. He promised them that he would do everything in his power to keep them safe and together. He started letting them help him more with his woodworking projects. They would sand the wood, paint the toys, and decorate the birdhouses. Working together gave them a sense of purpose and helped to distract them from their worries. The rhythmic sound of the hammer and saw filled the house with a sense of calm and normalcy. Even though the waiting was hard, they found strength and comfort in each other's presence. While waiting for the decision, Michael continued to improve his home. He built a bookshelf in the living room to hold all of their books. He added a swing set to the backyard, knowing how much the girls loved to play outside. He even started planting a small garden, hoping to teach them about growing their own food. He spent hours in his workshop, crafting special gifts for each of them. He made Rose a beautiful wooden jewelry box, Daisy a set of colorful drawing pencils, and Lily a cuddly stuffed bear. He wanted them to know how much he cared about them, regardless of the outcome of the guardianship application. He also made sure to attend all of their school events. He cheered Rose on at her spelling bee, admired Daisy's artwork at the school art fair, and sang along with Lily at her kindergarten concert. He was proud of them and wanted to be there to support them in every way possible. The house was no longer just a house, it was a home filled with love, laughter, and the comforting scent of sawdust and freshly baked cookies. Michael's life had been transformed in ways he never could have imagined. He had stumbled upon 3 sisters in distress, and they had become the family he had always longed for. The day the decision was to arrive was filled with nervous anticipation. Michael had taken the day off work, and the sisters stayed home from school. They tried to distract themselves by playing games, but their hearts weren't really in it. Every time the phone rang or a car drove by, they would jump, their eyes filled with hope and fear. Michael tried to remain calm, but his own anxiety was building. He paced back and forth, checking his watch every few minutes. He kept replaying the home study in his mind, wondering if he had said or done anything that might jeopardize his chances. Sarah came over in the afternoon, bringing a plate of cookies and a comforting presence. She tried to lighten the mood, telling jokes and sharing funny stories. But even her cheerful demeanor couldn't completely dispel the tension in the air. Finally, in the late afternoon, the phone rang. Michael took a deep breath and answered it, his hand trembling slightly. It was Ms. Evans from Social Services. The room fell silent as Michael listened intently, his face unreadable. The sisters held their breath, their eyes fixed on him, waiting for the news that would determine their future. The fate of their little family hung in the balance. Michael's face broke into a wide smile, tears welling up in his eyes. He looked at the sisters and gave them a thumbs up. "It's official," he exclaimed, his voice choked with emotion. "I'm your guardian." The sisters erupted in cheers, jumping up and down and hugging Michael tightly. Rose, Daisy, and Lily were finally going to stay together, with the man who had shown them so much love and kindness. Sarah joined in the celebration, hugging Michael and the girls, her own eyes filled with tears of joy. They spent the rest of the day celebrating. Sarah ran to the store and bought a big chocolate cake and a bunch of colorful balloons. They decorated the house with streamers and played music. They ate cake and ice cream and danced around the living room, laughing and singing. Michael felt a sense of happiness he had never experienced before. His life was now complete. He had a family, and they had him. He looked at the sisters, their faces beaming with joy, and knew that he had made the right decision. He might not have known how to braid hair or bake cookies, but he knew how to love, and that was all that mattered. This was the beginning of their new life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. A year had passed since that rainy night when Michael stumbled upon Rose, Daisy, and Lily. The sisters were thriving in their new life. Rose was excelling in school, her love of reading growing stronger every day. She had joined the debate club and was showing a real talent for public speaking. Daisy's artistic abilities were blossoming. She had won several awards for her drawings and paintings, and her artwork was displayed in the local library. She had even started taking art classes at the community center. Lily, now 7 years old, was a bright and bubbly first grader. She loved to sing and dance, and she was always putting on little performances for Michael and Sarah. She had made lots of friends at school and was known for her infectious laughter. Michael beamed with pride as he watched them flourish. He had learned to braid hair, with Sarah's help, bake cookies, and navigate the world of homework and school projects. He had become a father figure to the girls, providing them with the love, support, and stability they needed to thrive. His house was always filled with activity, from school projects to art creations to the sounds of Lily singing. His life was full, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Michael faced the challenges of parenthood with a heart full of love and an abundance of patience. Homework time could be chaotic, with 3 different grade levels and learning styles to juggle. But Michael approached each task with a positive attitude, helping the girls understand their assignments and celebrating their successes. He learned to decipher fractions, memorize historical dates, and even help Daisy with her creative writing prompts. Bedtime became a special time for bonding. Michael would read them stories, making silly voices and acting out the characters. He would tuck them in, kiss them goodnight, and listen to their prayers. He made sure they felt safe and loved, creating a sense of security that they had never known before. There were moments of frustration, of course. There were arguments over toys, disagreements about chores, and the occasional temper tantrum. But Michael always remembered to stay calm and listen to their concerns. He learned to mediate disputes, set boundaries, and teach them the importance of respect and empathy. He wasn't just their guardian, he was their teacher, their confidant, and their biggest cheerleader. He was their dad. The community rallied around Michael and the sisters, offering unwavering support and friendship. Mrs. Gable, who Michael had helped with her groceries, often baked them cookies and invited them over for tea. Mr. Henderson, whose roof Michael had fixed, offered to help with yard work and car repairs. Sarah was a constant presence in their lives, helping with homework, driving them to activities, and providing Michael with much-needed advice and encouragement. Other parents from school volunteered to carpool, babysit, and organize playdates. The local church held a fundraiser to help Michael with the expenses of raising 3 children. The townspeople donated clothes, toys, and school supplies. The hardware store offered him discounts on lumber and tools. Michael was overwhelmed by the generosity and kindness of his community. He realized that he wasn't alone in this journey. He had a whole village of people supporting him and the sisters. He felt grateful and blessed to be a part of such a caring and compassionate community. The sisters, too, felt loved and accepted. They had found a place where they belonged, a place where they could feel safe, supported, and cherished. They were finally home. As Father's Day approached, the sisters decided they wanted to make Michael something special to show him how much they appreciated him. They knew he wasn't their biological father, but he was the only dad they had ever known, and they loved him dearly. They pooled their allowances and bought some art supplies. Rose, with her love of writing, wrote Michael a heartfelt poem, expressing her gratitude for his love and kindness. Daisy, with her artistic talent, drew a beautiful portrait of Michael surrounded by his woodworking tools. Lily, with her boundless energy, decorated a picture frame with colorful glitter and glued a favorite photo of them all inside. On Father's Day morning, they presented Michael with their handmade gifts. He was deeply touched by their thoughtfulness and love. He hugged them tightly, tears streaming down his face. He knew that these gifts were more valuable than anything money could buy. He proudly displayed their gifts in his workshop, a constant reminder of the love and happiness that had filled his life since the day he stumbled upon those 3 sisters in distress. He realized that he had given them a home, but they had given him so much more, a family, a purpose, and a love that he had never thought possible. Michael often reflected on that rainy night when he took a shortcut and stumbled upon those 3 sisters. He realized that what had seemed like a random encounter was actually the most important moment of his life. He had been searching for a family, and they had been searching for a home. They had found each other, and together, they had created something beautiful. He knew that being a parent wasn't always easy. There were challenges and sacrifices to be made. But the love and joy that he received in return were immeasurable. He had learned so much from the sisters: patience, compassion, and the true meaning of family. He had gone from being a lonely carpenter to a loving father, surrounded by the laughter and love of 3 amazing girls. He realized that even though he stumbled into this family, it was the best thing that had ever happened to him. His life had been transformed in ways he never could have imagined, and he was grateful for every single moment. He was finally complete. He was finally happy. He was finally home. The sun shone brightly on a warm summer afternoon. Michael and the three sisters were enjoying a family picnic in the park. Rose was reading a book under a shady tree, Daisy was sketching in her notebook, and Lily was chasing butterflies in the meadow. Michael watched them, his heart overflowing with love. He had packed their favorite foods, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, potato salad, and watermelon. They laughed and talked, sharing stories and jokes. It was a perfect day, a perfect moment. As they ate their watermelon, juice dripping down their chins, Michael raised his glass of lemonade. To family, he said, his voice filled with emotion. To love, laughter, and happily ever after. The sisters clinked their glasses against his, their faces beaming with joy. They knew they were lucky to have found each other. They had created a family out of love, not blood, and it was the most beautiful thing in the world. The story of Michael and the three sisters is a reminder that family isn't always about where you come from, but who you choose to be with. It's about love, acceptance, and the power of human connection. It's about finding home, not in a place, but in the hearts of those you cherish. It's about how sometimes, the greatest blessings in life come from the most unexpected places.